So about halfway through the draft of this video, I thought to myself, what if instead of doing a deep dive into one of these films that I wanted to talk about, how about I give you guys a list of films I've seen over the last 2 to 3 months that really spoke to me, and it could serve as maybe a recommendation for stuff that you should watch. And if by the end of this video there's any of these that you want me to actually do a deep dive into, I would be more than happy to. So without further ado, here we go. Alright, and first off is Black Bag, featuring Michael Fassbender as a British spy known as George Woodhouse, who is caught up in this web of conspiracy and lies when his wife, who is also an agent, by the way, is accused of betraying the government. And I love so much how the plot of this movie progresses. The story is one that actually makes our protagonist have to choose where his loyalties would lie, whether with his nation or with his marriage. It's pure British espionage cinema. I love it so much because it has a Guy Ritchie-esque tone to it in terms of the fast kind of dialogue. Everybody's really witty. You know, it's a game of intelligence. After all, they do work in intelligence, and it shows in the way they communicate. You know, the characters that are on scene are amazing to witness, and the scenes that you are looking at are so amazing to be a part of. And I know I mentioned Michael Fassbender as the first name because he is the protagonist, but this actually has some really great names attached to it. It's quite an all-star cast. You have Pierce Brosnan, Kate Blanchett, Regé-Jean Page. There's just a lot of really familiar faces in this, and it's a star-studded cast. Unfortunately, it didn't do so well at the box office, and most of you can tell because it didn't make a lot of noise, but it's a film that I feel the entire world sort of slept on at this moment. And I think maybe it's just based on the type of flick it was, or maybe how the marketing was handled, but this is a really great film that a lot more people should have checked out. It is witty, it is intelligent, it is a film that just packs on a lot of charm, and the way that it's shot is amazing. It has this particular soft feel to it where, you know, they use this mist filter all throughout the film. It gives this soft look, which is in contrast to the type of gritty nature of what it's supposed to be. But that's because the film actually ends up bringing out the finer parts of violence, of espionage, of that world, you know, the underworld in which things are happening, where even when people die, it sort of comes off as artistic and dramatic from a book reading standpoint, if you get what I mean. It reads very well. So this is definitely something I think people should check out. And yeah, on to the next one. On to 28 Years Later. As a fan of the 28 series, having seen 28 Days as well as 28 Weeks, finding out that the true successor to this was dropping was quite the delight. Because it's been a while, a long time since the last installment in this, and most importantly, I wanted to know what exactly was going on in this world. But unfortunately, this only showed in select cinemas, and I wasn't in Lagos at the time, so I couldn't see this in cinemas. But as soon as it hit digital, I had to see it. And let me say this, I was pretty impressed with what they pulled off in this. Now, of course, a successor to Cillian Murphy's arguably breakout role definitely needed to take some very huge steps into building the world, and it did a lot with this particular film. I like the addition of the new characters that we have right now. If you're not familiar with this, the 28 series pretty much does not repeat characters, so it's always about the new era and a new time, and the story pretty much follows Aaron Taylor-Johnson's character and his son. His character takes his son on a test of courage where they journey to the mainland to sort of survive for a few days and see what survival is like. It's a training program, just a rite of passage for them. And on getting to the mainland, something is sparked within the boy, his curiosity, when he interacts indirectly with this certain character that's over there, and this leads him to journey back to the mainland by himself along with his ailing mother to sort of find a cure for his sickness. The story is a pretty simple one, but it's executed in a very great manner. The cinematography in this is very nice. They have some really good shots. The characters are very engaging. I just really love what they did with this. Now, I know this particular film might not have had a lot of of Nigerian fans, which I mean is expected. It's not particularly popular over here, but this is something that was really done well. And for people who didn't get to see this when it dropped, I think you definitely should check it out right now. And even without watching the former parts, trust me, you can still journey into this world, and it's a standalone story. It connects well to the past, but it stands alone very vibrantly, and that's why I love this film. And next up is Final Destination Bloodlines, a continuation of the Final Destination series. Now, this one follows a college student known as Stephanie who keeps having recurring nightmares about the death of a particular woman. Now, she doesn't know who it is, but in order to solve this problem, which is destroying her life, she has to actually go down the family archives. But it turns out that the woman that she's been seeing her death is actually her grandmother. But she's also the only one who can save her from this mess. And I'm guessing you're wondering, how is that even possible? Well, you just have to watch the story unfold. And of course, in typical Final Destination fashion, it unfolds in a very bloody and gory mess. And this particular installment actually happens to be the best critically as well as generally well received installment that they've had in this franchise for a long time, and it made a lot of money at the box office. So trust me, people are definitely interested in this, and it is worth your time. The horror elements, the suspense, the action, everything is there. You really should check this out. And guys, make sure you never forget, nobody makes it out alive. Well, all right then, on to the next film.
And here come the two Apex GPs!
And next up is F1 the movie. This is most definitely the most mainstream film on this particular list. And while you might be thinking, oh, that veers off primarily from the kind of stuff that we've been seeing so far, I just have to say this is a movie that just makes a space for itself. I know a lot of people might not have seen this in the cinemas, even though the marketing was really great, just because they're not familiar with the sport. But I would like you to know that if you missed F1, then you missed greatness. Now, this is a film that follows a character known as Sonny Hayes, a very promising talent in F1 who had a near-fatal accident nearly 30 years before the time that the film is set in, and since then he had been retired from F1 but had been doing racing in other forms. But he's approached by a former colleague / rival in the form of Javier Bardem, who wants him to come in to put the team together just enough to qualify so that he doesn't lose the team, so that the shareholders don't pull the plug from his operation. And this is a film about two distinct characters coming into themselves in different forms. One is in the form of Damson Idris's character, who is young and bright-eyed, but also very immature, who doesn't know what it takes to win, who doesn't know the cost. And then you have Sonny Hayes, who is more old school, who is way past his prime, but is here to put in the experience onto the team. And the clash of ideals is very interesting to witness on screen, but at the end of the day, it's just two different characters who are looking to become themselves. And this is a film that really kicks you in the guts. It packs a lot of emotion in a very simple story. I know some people might say this is more simple, more straightforward with the story, but again, what really makes this story shine is the fact that F1 thrives on its authenticity. The entire film is built on the authenticity. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is a producer on this. He was overseeing the racing sequences. All the racing that you see there is real. They are actually racing these cars at breakneck speeds. Even part of it was shot at the Grand Prix. So this is a very authentic film, and it makes a lot of sense when you know that it's actually the producers and the directors of the Mission Impossible franchise who were involved with this. That's another series that's known for its authenticity, and as such, this was just an amazing watch. Trust me, this is authentic racing at its best, and you should not miss out on F1. And now, last but not least, Predator. killer of killers. Now, this is an extension of the Aliens vs. Predators universe, and I especially love what they did with this, especially adapting this through animation this time. And what I love the most with what they've been doing recently with all this stuff is how they are giving enough room to expand that Predator universe through different mediums, but also across different timelines, and just giving room for things to stand alone. Because this particular movie actually exists across a timeline. Yes, the synopsis of this is that the Predators are actually going across time and picking some of history's greatest warriors in order for them to fight themselves, have a champion among themselves, and then that champion will fight the OG Predator. It's a very simple story, but you would be surprised at how much depth this has, because we get to delve into the backstory of these characters that you just meet all of a sudden. You are thrust into this world of blood, gore, action, but there's also a lot of emotional depth there, because at the end of the day, even warriors are human beings. That's really what it's about. And to see the way it all coalesces when you are watching everything, it just is so good, because this film particularly starts off like it's an anthology series, but then you see where it all ties in and it's perfect towards the end. And of course, we are all waiting on the sequel for that. But for now, for the people who may not have seen Predator, Killer of Killers, you definitely should. And for people who are not really fans of animation, I think after all this time, this definitely is your year to get into this stuff. Clearly, it's a medium that is going to not only survive, but it's going to be thriving, as we keep seeing year after year. So definitely, if this is your first introduction into 18+ mature type animation like this, you definitely should jump into it. Trust me, it's very, very serious. Nobody's playing games here. Now, for some honorable mentions, I have to mention these 3 movies that I'm not going to delve much into, but just going to list out the ones I feel that I watched that were also amazing. Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning. To see so many years of cinema come together into the final breaking points, the final installment of the franchise. This was amazing to watch. The Bad Guys 2. I didn't even think this particular film needed a sequel until I found out that it was actually adapted from a series of books. But to see what they did with the second part, this was insane. The sequel is just as good, in fact, if not better than the first one in my opinion. And I just never thought that it was going to turn out that great. But guess what? Surprises are everywhere. And last but not least, this is a film that was panned by the critics and probably the audiences for not really finding its footing. But I seem to think that it had a lot of charm to it in terms of the cinematography, the conceptualization, and just what it meant in terms of the kind of commentary was trying to give on society. And that would be Opus, starring Ayo Edebiri. So you definitely should check these out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to the end of my list. I hope you guys loved this one that I put together for y'all. And even if you didn't, I at least hope that there was maybe 1 or 2 of these that you are looking to maybe dive into. And with that being said, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And I'll be seeing you on the next one. Bye.